right, here we are. We're at our Mattel Secret Wars action figure line, the first ever Marvel action figure line. There were the Mego toys, the dolls before this. There were the Marks, like little plastic statues. These are the first articulating action figures ever for Marvel superheroes. So, even a precursor to our whole Marvel superhero series from Toy Biz, we had Mattel first. Now, little history. Back in 1984, this line came out to go alongside the comic book series. Mattel had just lost the bid to do the DC Superpowers line, which went on to be the Kenner line. So not being able to secure the license from DC, they reached out to Marvel. Said, we want to do an action figure line based on comic book characters, but we need some kind of tie-in. If you watch a lot of videos like The Toys That Made Us, you'll see that everything back in the 80s and before and beyond needs some kind of other medium to tie it to, whether it be a movie, a cartoon series, a television series, or a comic book. So they went with what they found in testing, the two best words, which was secret and wars, and they pitched it to Marvel, and we said we want a comic book series called Secret Wars. So then we got Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars. Quite a mouthful, but it turned out being one of the greatest comic book crossovers of all time and the largest comic book crossover and the true first comic book crossover. I know a couple of years before there was the Contest of Champions or something, but that was just the superheroes. This had the superheroes and the supervillains. Massively successful 12-issue series, and we got these awesome action figures that came out of that series. Now, Mattel, this was a year when they were suffering quite a bit of loss off of an Intellivision bet. And they had the He-Man product line, a lot of other product lines. They did not want to, scale up and do a major production. So you'll notice with all these action figures, they all kind of have the same body size. So they were never going to do any kind of Hulk or anything like that, or a tinier figure. They wanted to keep it universal so they could kind of reuse the bodies over and over again. Same with the accessories. You'll see very minimal accessories here. Captain America, as you can see, is using one of the secret shields as his shield. Everyone else comes with a shield. Iron Man's gun is used again for the villains several times over. It's the same gun in every subsequent character. There's one other gun that's produced for Doctor Doom. We'll show you that, but that's it. In terms of weapons, nothing else. Wolverine has his claws, and that's the only unique accessory in the entirety of Wave 1. So they kept it very similar so they could retool over and over again. You see a lot of similarities between legs on Wolverine and Spider-Man, the body types here, between Captain America, etc. The tooling is kept to a minimal. The design was all done in-house to further cut costs. So some of the characters don't quite have comic book accurate looks to them, like Spider-Man's webbing on his costume is a little bit different. So I think that kind of worked against them because this line was a commercial failure. They lost money on this line. The characters started warming pegs, which is weird because 40 years later now, people love it. And they look back at this nostalgia factor of these characters. They're paying a premium price for these to acquire them, particularly more popular characters like Wolverine and Spider-Man. And the charm is just still there, particularly as Hasbro has launched their sort of Secret Wars revival or throwback line. Since it's 40 years, last year was 40 years, so at the end they announced several characters coming out that are just hitting shelves now, actually. So it's pretty cool to see those again in that classic Secret Wars packaging. So let's just quickly focus on the packaging. What you got was very bare bones here. You have the logo. You have the character, and then you have his accessories. So we'll be doing the villains next week. We're just going to focus on the heroes because you guys wanted to see a lot of detail on them. So it's going to take a little more time. So you got some weapons, you got a secret shield, and then you got some inserts that went along with it. And then on the back, you got to see the whole wave, and then you got a comic book. Yes, we will show you the little comic strip for all the characters, don't worry. But we do not have them in packaging, as you can see, like we did with the Marvel Superheroes line. But this is basically what you got, and then instructions on how to use that secret shield. So very, very minimal here. Not a whole lot to it. Again, they were really trying to keep the cost down, and I think all the packaging, I've seen a couple of them now in package, it's pretty much the same. There was no different mold for the characters here. They all just kind of sat in there in this generic back here. They're not even really in there all that secure. You can hear them rattle a little bit. But that was it. A very basic, very minimalistic here in order to keep costs down. But a very cool line, and we're going to show it to you here, and we're going to break it up in a lot of segments between the waves. And yeah, we also have this great little comic book advertisement for the action figure line, Marvel's first ever line. So very cool. Wave 1 actually made sense. It was all based on characters in the comic book. Wave 2 started to get a little crazy. None of them appeared in Secret Wars. They appeared in Secret Wars 2. Some of them did, and then some of them had to appear in the Battle World comic that came out last year, I believe. So they finally got redemption. But yeah, one of them never appeared anywhere. Until that comic. So anyway, without further ado, let's get into this line and check out these figures. Okay, we got to start with the leader here, Captain America, and I apologize, it's hard to find these in really good shape out of package. Their colors like really faded over time. Everything was painted on here. Like when I said they were really, taking liberties with the minimized costs, like all the costuming details, everything is painted. There are no like, hard points or any design matter for that. Like everything, all the lines would be painted on. You see little intricate lines, circuit boards, everything are painted on the character. So they faded a lot over time. So with Captain America here, you got this great little comic strip that came with the character. I love that. You got a little bio here in the corner for the character as well. And then you got the comic strip. Everyone got these little comic strips and they were great. But here is Cap himself. Very bare bones, very basic, nice comic look. Again, these guys just had the 5 POA. They had the arms, they had the legs, they had no opposable knees. The head turned too, but they had no opposable knees like the Kenner line did. The Kenner line also had an action sort of feature for each of the characters, but they did have their secret shields. Now, Cap here I have his on his arm, and I don't know if you could see that. That's the problem with these, but it goes from Steve Rogers to a star to his little Captain America costume there. But I wanted to show you the other ones in the sequence as well. So I got our little secret shield here, and I want to pop this open. And we're not going to close it for each one, but I'm going to put them in so you can see them. Because somebody said they wanted to see all the little shield inserts, and I'm going to try my best to make this happen in the video here, while keeping a decent pace so this video doesn't go on forever. So basically you had to align these just right. You would put them in just like this in there, and then you would get a little sequence of getting them to move. Now I don't know if you could see it on the camera or not, but we have him throwing his shield here, and then on the back side there would be another sequence. And this one here, let's see if we get this situated. You have to get it lined up just right with the lines. Otherwise it wouldn't maneuver. Like again, this one doesn't look as great, but you can see him there attacking somebody. So that was one of them. The other one you got here, it looks like him and Wolverine, and then him doing some kind of acrobatic maneuver. Again, you had to get it just right, and this one has like moving lines on it. And then let's see if I get him with the Wolverine. So it's hit or miss with some of these over time. Oh yeah, this one's moving a little bit better. You can see him with Wolverine there. And then we have our last one. It's Captain America here doing some kind of maneuver. And on the back, you can see some rock rubble falling on there as well. So let's see if we get him doing his little maneuver here. Yep, okay, here we go. You can see him bouncing. Again, apologize if it's not working great. It's just, I don't know how this is going to translate on camera until I see it in the editing. And then we'll see how, yeah, this one has the rock moving back and forth, the debris falling on him. So that is basically the Captain America ones there. The only other one here is in his shield. It's the second side of this one. And let's see, I'm not really sure what is on the back side of it. I think it is... looks like he's fighting Dr. Doom, so it's a good one. Let me show you guys here. Yeah, he's taking a swing at Dr. Doom. So there we go. Now, this is the default one, I want to call it, because this is the one that came with the character as he's packaged. So they have ones that come with the character as they're packaged, and then they have a sequence of them that are in a little I don't know, line or holder like this. I'll show you for Iron Man because I still have them in the holder. And then you kind of poke them out of there and then put them in the little display. So that is Captain America. But the other thing I want to show you is, since we did all that work on the Toy Biz line, how does he stack up to the Toy Biz line? So this came out in 1990. That's 6 years after this Captain America. You can see he's a little taller. He has those opposable knees. And then he has that action figure because the shield fires here if you push the button. But he comes with his shield. So this Captain America does not. You can see there's a ridged aspect to his costume. The raised stars on here. Just a lot more detailing, a lot more effort put into this figure, and it's a unique mold to other figures in this line. So you could tell the difference between Toy Biz that committed to this thing, and then Mattel that just was looking for a cash grab at the point in time when they did this. They wanted it to succeed, but they didn't want to spend too much money on it. Okay, so that is Captain America. Now we go on to Wolverine, who is one of the really popular ones in this line. The first time we ever got any kind of Wolverine figure. I mean, prior to this, we got like Mego Captain America and stuff, but we never really had like X-Men characters, I want to say. So this was really the first Wolverine, and this is a really good Wolverine, I think, in terms of a sample. There's no paint wear or anything on it. But yeah, you can see the belt here is a painted black line. There's really little detail there. So this was the Wolverine figure that came out at the time. The claws came off and were completely removable, and they just kind of snapped on. So that's how they did the claws aspect. So you could have the claws off or the claws on, but that was really how they got around the, you know, the claws coming in and out on Wolverine here. Now, the only other interesting thing I would add about him is he had a variant where he had black claws, and the rumor was that the silver ones looked too much like knives or something. I'm like, well, they were, you know, razor sharp claws. So his default is changing from Logan into Wolverine on his little secret shield, and the inside one here, let's see that really quick, is looks like him doing a little berserk move. We'll check that out in a second. Flip it around, and yeah, he's blowing up some kind of container there, if you could see that. I'm not really sure if you can. But his default, again, is the Logan Wolverine conversion. This one could be more expensive when you're trying to track it down on the secondary market. I'm not really sure. Well, I know, I mean, the reason why is the popularity. I was going to say I'm not really sure if they made less of it, but I think it was just more popular. And the other problem is trying to find one with claws. I guess a lot of people lost these over time, so they were just not something that people were able to hold on to with their collections. So that is a tricky one for that reason. And I didn't show you the card. How could I not? It's a pretty nice little comic. I think he's fighting Kang. Yeah, he's fighting Kang there. Very colorful, very nice. You get all the little facts on him right there as well. So his other ones, we got him leaping here on one side through the air. Let's see if we could, I'll show it to you without the thing on. So leaping through the air, and then we have him fighting Dr. Octopus on the back. That's one of his ones there. This one is, these ones are a little trickier for some reason to get them to work. Yeah, I'm not going to bother with that. So we got him leaping through the air with Dr. Octopus. We have him fighting some kind of serpent on this side. And then it looks like Dr. Octopus and someone escaping on the elevator from the Tower of Doom. Let's see if I get that one working, because that looks pretty cool. We will do the Tower of Doom, do not worry. I talked about that one for a while when I made reference to like the first play set ever for Marvel. So we will do that one as well. And lastly, we have him with his claws, and then here, and then on the back, looks like him and Spider-Man right there. So let's see how this one comes out. These ones are just not working as well as the other ones. Oh, this one is working nice. So here we go. So you can see him with the claw disappearing there. So they're not all going to work very well, and they're probably going to be even harder to see on camera, and I apologize for that. I'm doing the best I can, but it's like trying to make it work, the prism effect through the camera, and it only really works, you know, when you see it down here, and here he is with Spider-Man. So like I said, you get 4 with each character, and you know, people lost them over the years. So finding these guys complete with all their little inserts, pretty tricky. Now, just like we did with Captain America, let's check out the Toy Biz Wolverine from 1990. We went over this in our Toy Biz X-Men line. You could see him in better detail there. You could see the boots kind of wrap around here. They're independent. They're not painted on. He's got those knee joints. He's got that belt that's actually, tooled on there. That's not a paint. And then he's got the removable mask. And we showed you that before as well. But his action feature is the claws coming out here when you snap out the springs. And those claws then go back inside of him, and they become part of embedded in there. And he came with a sword as well. But major differences there. Just a couple years later in 1990, when Toy Biz had the license there and did this, so they were in it for the long haul. And this was a very successful line when they did the X-Men line. But that is the first half of your superhero squad. Here we had Wolverine and Captain America. Now we're going to check on Iron Man and Spider-Man, the two, the mans. We're going to start this one off with the Amazing Spider-Man. Here we go. You can see his little cartoon here fighting Dr. Octopus. Only weapons are his web shooters, but the figure comes with nothing. This is it. The only thing he comes with is his secret shield, which we'll show you right here. And the default one that comes in the secret shield is him turning into Peter Parker. And you can see his little spider sense tingling there. And then on the other side, it has a Spider-Man kind of jumping through the air bit where he's doing a little acrobatics there. But that is the default segment. But you can see the Spider-Man here. Not an exact match with the applications here on him for the comic book character. It's hard to find this guy too out of package without missing sections of this webbing. It's all painted on. So front and back there, you can see that all painted on. Now these gaps you see, these are not paint wearing off. This is just how it was applied. It had gaps on the front, it had gaps on the back, it had gaps on the arms, it had gaps on the shoulders. That was just the way the character was made. Unique thing about him is he has this curled foot. It is point of contact on the ball of the foot, showing the agility of Spider-Man there, but it is a little different than the other figures in that respect. So that's kind of the unique thing about him. Now here's a sample of how these come. Originally they come in a like this broke off, but you can see he has a Dr. Octopus little bout there. He's climbing up a wall. He's again climbing up a wall. He's saying hello. He's fighting Dr. Octopus and Dr. Doom on the back there. So these are the other ones that come with him. I'm going to show you a couple of them, but we're not going to take too much time like we did the last one, because I think this is going to run way too long, this video. But here we go. You can see him waving in this one. And then over here, if we get this out, these do not come out as easy as I remember. We get him fighting Dr. Doom, which is, I actually want to see. I have not seen these yet. I'm doing this with you guys, so I'm sort of learning it as you guys learn it. And, it's hit or miss if you get these into position, but you could have them there fighting Dr. Doom. But these were basically the inserts that you got with each character, and they came in these weird cardboard things, and it was hit or miss if you get them in exactly right. So I apologize if it didn't come off perfect on camera. Again, I don't even know if it's going to show up on there until we get to the editing stage, because it's going through a lens and you guys are seeing it that way, and it's hard to see even without the lens. But let's check him out compared to our Toy Biz counterpart. So again, he's taller, he's better paint applications, tighter paint applications, better colors, he's got the bendable knees. This one was the suction cup hands version. But I even like the face, the way the face is done. The eyes are kind of implanted in there. But just a nicer design on the back too, a thinner spider there. Better spider on the chest. But, to be fair, this was 6 years later, and this was a company that was dedicated to make this line work, and it did for like 5-6 years. So this is your Toy Biz Spider-Man there. And I think that is enough of Spider-Man. Why don't we move on to Iron Man? So Iron Man, a little different here. You may or may not know this, but Iron Man, you'll see here, is James Rhodes in Secret Wars. And they explain that in some prelude issues, that he was coming off a mission wearing the Iron Man armor, and he got sucked into that portal from the Beyonder sent to New York, and he ended up here, and he kept his identity secret for I think for the entire comic. I got to go back and check if toward the end that people figured it out. But he was James Rhodes. Hasbro got that right too. If you get that figure, you see the Secret Wars figure underneath the helmet is James Rhodes. But that's kind of odd, because the shield they gave him is Tony Stark turning into Iron Man and not James Rhodes. So a little confusing in that respect, but here he is. You can see him in all his glory. They got a nice sleek design to him. They have that yellow repulsor in the figure center here, which wears out a lot. So a lot of figures that are loose have that turned to red as the paint wears off. You can see him with his iron, a little detail on the gloves there. I love the helmet. And he comes with a blaster, because we all know Iron Man loves his gun. No, like I said, when they were looking for the cheapest tooling possible, they use this blaster with every figure. Every subsequent figure you see will have that blaster. So it was just an easy way to get around having to tool anything. Or, you know, he didn't really come with any accessories because he was Iron Man, and they're not going to make him have like firing jets or something. Over on the back here, we see some kind of explosion of him in the sky. And then we have the little roll of bits here that we see for the character. So we have Iron Man here with the Doom roller, which we'll check out, don't worry. We have Iron Man saving a train. We have Iron Man, you know, fighting a missile here. On the back of those, we got him putting on his costume, him flying through the clouds, and him doing some kind of little energy move. Let's check out the Doom Roller one. I'm taking that out because I love the Doom Roller. We'll spend time with that, don't worry. And I think it's really cool. And we want to take a look and see how this looks. So I'll get this situated in here, and you have to line it up just right with these horizontal lines, otherwise it won't do anything. And I think this looks pretty cool. So yeah, we have him punching it or something here, and then you can see the Doom Roller getting by. And then on the back, let's see if we get Iron Man and see if he gets dressed here. Yeah. So we got Tony with the suitcase, and then he turns into Iron Man. Again, I don't know if you're seeing this because it's hard to tell, but it looks pretty cool if you get it working up close. Again, I think the best I could do is show you what they look like without the lenticular effect, and then you know, you get a sense of what ones you would need if you're trying to hunt these down to make a complete Iron Man. But that Doom Roller one is really cool that it comes with right there. But this is a perfect example of how these come curled up on the side of your pack of your character in those little holders, and you have to poke them out. So showing you this Iron Man, there was no 1990 Iron Man. 1991 is one Toy Biz put out its Iron Man. Now, he had the removable armor. You can go back and watch that video and see how this looks when it comes off, but this piece comes off, these boots come off, these bracelets come off, the helmet comes off. Under his helmet, though, he is Tony Stark. If I get this helmet off, there we go. He's Tony Stark. You can see he's Tony Stark. So he's a completely different Iron Man to begin with. So yeah, but you know, I think they did a much better job on this. But I do like the sleek look for this Iron Man. He just has a more golden age throwback look to him. But yep, this is the Toy Biz one, just a little bit taller, a little bit different. But you know, this was a bigger line than the Mattel line, who didn't really know where this was going to go at the time. It was a bit of a gamble. But these are your two characters for the other, making up the rest of the heroes. Spider-Man is really popular, still is really popular. He could be pretty expensive. You might look at 60 bucks or so to grab yourselves a complete, good-looking Spider-Man in mint condition here. Iron Man might run you about $40. Captain America, if you get a good one, and this isn't a good one. This isn't a great one. It would be great if the A was perfect. It's a little off, as you saw there. That might run you about 50 bucks. Wolverine, you're probably looking at 100 to 120 to get one in this shape with the claws and everything else. Whoop. So it really depends. He's going to be the gem of the wave. If you could find Wolverine in a good condition nowadays, you're looking at spending over 100 bucks to get him with all his accessories and good claws and in a good condition. Still really popular. These two guys are clearly popular in this wave. So that is your look at the Mattel Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars Wave 1 Heroes. And that concludes our look at the heroes for Wave 1. We're going to check out the villains next. You can see this took a little bit of time to get through these. We were showing you with a nice level of detail. We're trying to show you all the lenticular inserts. I don't know if they're working on the camera yet. I'll know by the time we get to the second video. But we're trying to show you as much as we can, and it's hard in this medium. These things I think you really need to see up close. They don't capture well over camera. They're very subtle. They didn't work as great as modern ones do. but they had their own charm to them. So we'll cover the villains next. Check out those 4 guys from Wave 1. We're going to intersperse this coverage with the Hasbro Secret Wars figures that came out as well, so we could compare those back to these guys, and you can check them out that way. But we thought it'd be nice to mix these in with the Toy Biz, just to give you a little sense of what changed in just a few years, and what a dedicated action figure line looks like, vice somebody that was just trying to do a line to see if they could get a foothold in a market. So I think the real reason for failure here is the heart just wasn't in it. Mattel just wasn't in it enough to make these successful. The Kenner ones were so much cooler. They had action figures, they had a lot more action features, they had a lot more articulation. So if you're looking at these on the shelves, they just kind of landed a lot better. Plus there were so many more mediums for characters. You had Batman had his the 66 show that was still airing at that point. There were other cartoons and movies. Batman was, he wasn't quite yet back in theaters, but I think there was just a lot more, pop recognition for DC at that point. Marvel had some shows, but it wasn't taken off as much as DC, and that all changed, as we know, in the 2000s. Yeah, so there was a lot against them at the time, but I don't think that enough was invested to really make this line successful. So that is all for your look at the Marvel Superheroes, Mattel Marvel Superhero Secret Wars line of just the heroes at this point, and we will expand that more. So make sure you tune back for future episodes where we're covering a lot more. We're going to be covering all of Wave 1. We're going to be covering all of Wave 2, which is really rare to see all of Wave 2. We're going to be covering all of the ground-based vehicles. We're going to be covering all of the playsets. So we have a lot more to show you. We're not going to be doing the helicopters or the gliders, which I think are ridiculous. They're tricky to track down, and they're just, they have no place. And they're the farthest thing from anything in the comics, too. So it was just really bizarre. So we're going to focus on these for now. We'll see about that in the future. And we'll see about Wave 3 in the future for the toys, which is very rare to track down also. So that's all for this time. Like, subscribe, and follow. See you guys next time.